Namaste and good evening, everyone. I am Ritika Gupta, Senior Assistant Director at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, Prabhav Evam Niti, Anusandhan Sansthan, Nai Delhi. Extend my heartiest welcome to you all to IMPRI #Web Policy Talk. Today we are here for a special talk on inclusion of children and adolescents in city planning and governance as part of the series #LocalGovernance with Tikender Panwar, organized by Center for Habitat, Urban and Regional Studies at IMPRI. It is my privilege to introduce to you our eminent speaker for today, Mr. Manish Thakre. Sir works as the head urban program and policy at Save the Children India. He provides ongoing technical support to the state project offices to ensure the quality implementation of urban programs. He is working with program policy and impact and other verticals to undertake research, advocacy, and campaigns linked to the issue of urbanization and its impact on children. Sir holds a Master and MPhil degree in Applied Geography from the Center for Study of Regional Development, School of Social Sciences at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. He was an external mentor to India Smart Cities Fellow, an initiative of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs with Government of India on the project Monitoring of Crimes Against Children in Urban Areas through Data Integration. Currently, he is working on a collaborative research study with the Climate Center for Cities, with National Institute of Urban Affairs on evidence-based strategic approaches towards child-centered humanitarian response, planning, and action for urban settings in India, which is being supported by Save the Children. With this introduction, I welcome you, sir, and hand over the proceedings to Tikender, sir, who was former Deputy Mayor of Shimla and is currently a Senior Visiting Fellow at India. Sir, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you for those opening remarks. And let me welcome Manish Thakre ji here. And as already pointed out, actually, this is a series that we are running, #LocalGovernance. And when we talk about local governance, as I have always been saying, and I would like to reiterate that, it means not just decentralization, but also democratization of the processes of planning and empowering the people, the communities by large. And we have seen where we have been able to empower our communities. Even the worst form of disasters have been met with in a far better manner than what we have seen in cities with so-called smartness and more tech-enabled. And that doesn't mean that we are against technology, but the point is, that democratization and empowering the communities is quintessentially important if we have to ensure a secure future. Now, today's topic is quite interesting for the simple reason that we have been talking about cities, and we have been talking about land use planning, and we have been talking about habitat. What will be the future habitat? And when we speak about the future habitat, that does not just comprise steel structures or reducing carbon footprint. Of course, it does. Not to discount that very important fact, but also who are going to live under the people, and people comprising children. And we have seen how, especially large workforce, especially large working people, large migrants who come to our cities, and as Professor Prabhat Patnaik has been time and again explaining to us that, look, the history of human evolution is the history of migrations. So if it is the history of migration, then I think we have to take into consideration the way these migrations are unfolding, especially post-1990s, how this rural-urban continuum that we're witnessing in India, and a large section of which I'm sure Manish Thakre will be able to cover. I mean, large section of these migrations constitute also children along with those migrant people. So how are we looking at that? When we talk about the entire process of planning in the cities, do we even think about that? Or are we just thinking about, as Lefebvre used to say, I mean, planners are very nice, very good indeed, but, they don't plan only on the scale of the paper, They talk to the bankers, they talk to real estate people, they talk to everyone, and that is, I think, where with the larger horizon lies. And in that horizon, where do our children? I mean, in this entire process of planning, so that we can have a secure future, not just secure future, secure habitat, but also some small, very small things. Are we able to mainstream that? Say, for example, migrant people. I mean, how do we ensure that uh, uh, that the children that they carry along, their education, their safety, their security, and their nourishment, and all that is taken care of. Not just the migrant people, but even other places. And when we speak about children, especially in the last 3 decades, we've seen the dramatic shift that is taking place in urban planning, where competitive cities have come to the fore, where we've seen, real estate has played a pivotal role as a driving force, and there the urban commons have been reserved. So when I say urban commons, your playgrounds, instead of playgrounds, we find cricket stadiums coming. So all that was necessary for young, for the children to develop. I think there's a new dimension that has been added in the last 3 decades. Bringing that as a contextual issue, I think we must see what is important. And as Manish was pointing out just a short while ago, that the 2041 master plan for Delhi, I mean, which is still in the discussion, gives us some ray of hope, scope for intervention. What is that ray of scope? What is that hope? And what could be the way future where we could have some generic sense as far as the children are concerned? Over to you, Manish. I think we can take it.
Thank you, Tikender ji and IMPRI for inviting me for this important discussion and understanding the past 14 months under COVID-19 and this particular topic, which is related to children, is very, very important. That how and how we will understand the voices of the children in the urban context. And as we all know that this current pandemic is where the urban areas are more affected. So I'm just sharing my screen. Yeah, so I mean, I'm talking about pandemic where children are the one of the most affected, whether they are from low or low middle income households, or they are from the privileged households. They have their own challenges. So when I have a discussion with IMPRI that what topic we will be discussing about, so I thought inclusion of children and adolescents in urban governance is one of the topic I will be talking about. I have structured my presentation into 4 parts.
So you can go full screen, Manish sir. You can go full screen. Just click on, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
please
I
go
will
ahead.
be, yes, I'll be talking about very briefly about urbanization trends in the country, then followed by a situation of urban children, challenges for children in the cities, and followed by a little discourse on how we can have inclusive planning and governance for children. So as we all know that we are urbanizing very fast, and since 1990 we have 94 cities, and now in 2018 it has increased to 181 cities with a population of more than 500,000, and it is projected to be somewhere around 235 by 2030. So it is well known that India's urbanization system is the largest system in the world, and it is projected to rise by 14% by 2050. So, I mean, it is very important in this, rapid urbanization, how we are including our children when we are planning and designing our cities. As we all know that in India, 39% of the total population is children, and out of which 128.5 million children are living in urban areas. And of these, I mean, it's very important that whether these children are getting right kind of services, right kind of opportunities in this rapid urbanization. Because as we all know, cities are for realizing our dreams. So a lot of people are migrating to these cities, and one of the reason of cities getting populated is migration and largely the natural growth. So here in this slide, you can see UP, Rajasthan, Bihar, Jharkhand, though they do not have high percentage of urbanization, but they have high percentage of children as compared living in urban areas as compared to the more urbanized state. And when we talk about urban areas, it is very pertinent that slums, the more deprived and marginalized, people living in these areas come to the picture, and we all know that that's the condition in slums are not very conducive. And I just wanted to share the census definition, and it will clearly sum out that what are the problems and conditions of children living in slums. So it says a slum as a residential area where dwelling units are unfit for human habitation owing to dilapidation, overcrowding, faulty arrangements and design of such buildings, narrow or faulty arrangement of streets, lack of ventilation, light or sanitation facilities, or any combination of these factors detrimental to safety and health. So that sums up that our children in these slums, which are huge number, as per our census, which is unfortunately records only 0 to 6 years, 8.1 million children are living in slums. And this percentage is very highly recorded in these 3 states: Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, and of course Maharashtra, which is again having a lot of different size class of settlements and have more number of slums. Next is the very important thing which Tikender ji just mentioned about the migrants, which is linked to this topic, which is homeless children, because cities are where a lot of people are coming to realize their dreams and getting employment, education, and so on and so forth. And some of them, because of lack of opportunities, they land up on the street. And we have, like 1.77 million of homeless people in the country, out of which 52.9% are residing in urban areas. And among them, 0.11 million are children under 6 years. And UP, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, MP have high numbers of urban homeless children. Now, very important is in this homeless children, there is we need to definitely look into children in street situations. And unfortunately, there is no official estimate of such children in any of the census. And unfortunately, census 2021 is not also going to cover it. But it is important why we are discussing homeless children here and children in street situation, because according to Save the Children, in one of our study, we found out that in 5 cities, there are 200,000 children who are living in the street in 10 cities. And a lot of them do not have identity cards. Now, why identity? Identity is something which is you give them a birth certificate, you get a ration card, or you get a, since 2010, we are getting Aadhaar cards. So why it is important? Because when children who are either separated or who are without parents or who are living alone, so how they can access government social protection schemes? They need to have certain identities. So when we at Save the Children, we provided in 2018 to 2017, 2018 and towards beginning of 2020, we provided close to 200,000 children identity. And that identity helped them to access a lot of social protection schemes, including getting them access to the Anganwadi centers and also to get services from PSC centers. So another aspect to this is the migrants. So we have a lot of migrant children in the cities. And if you see the data, it is the adolescent age group, where the children of this age group should be going to their upper primary school, senior secondary and secondary school. And if these children are migrating, because the reason given is because their parents are moving, or education or employment. So now the thing is, if they are moving for an employment, it means that they are losing out on their basic fundamental right of getting education of 10+2. So, and some of the states where we are having a high percent of migrant children are reported in Sikkim, Chandigarh and Himachal Pradesh. Now I will be briefly talking about challenges for children in cities. So as we all know that cities have a very good data for vehicles, multi-axle, double axle, single axle, mopeds and everything. But when it comes, you ask, go to the traffic police office, or if you have to collect a data on how many children got injured on the street, you hardly get this data at the city level, because it is not being compiled. And even if it is compiled, then it is still is not age and gender segregated, or type of injuries we have to look into. So if you see here that transport related injuries ranked 4th as a cause of death among 5 to 14-year-old in India in 2016. And another aspect to urbanization is in the past 20-30 years is that we are not having good number of parks and playgrounds in the cities. And and that is constraining them to play outside, to meet their friends or have recreation activities. And one of the survey cited that 2 in every 3 children in the age group of 7 to 18 do not have healthy body mass index, and 1 in every 3 have inadequate lower body strength. So now you can understand that when we do not have proper playgrounds, parks within the vicinity of the neighborhood where children are living, then it is actually depriving them of their childhood. And this problem has been exacerbated in the last 14 months of COVID-19, when there is a lockdown and children are not even going to school. And lot of girls in urban areas get playtime when they are only going to school, because schools have playground and they have certain classes where children get the opportunity to play, to do yoga, to practice music, to interact with their friends and teachers, and share a lot of things. So all these things has been obstructed. Second thing is, our cities are also facing a lot of problem with street lighting, infrastructure such as bus stands which are properly lit, and there should be presence of police so that children, adolescents, girls and boys can commute safely. So if you see the National Crime Record Bureau data, it mentions that, and it's only cover cities who are having a population of more than 2 million. And it's the crime against children is only rising. It was 19,081 in 2016, and it's 21,425. And number of survivors in these registered cases has also shown is also increased from 20,000 to 22,107 in 2019. Another and all these things are creating problem of inadequacy and unequal access to the city. So who are the sufferers? It's the girls. Because in another study by Save the Children, which we called World of India's Girls report, where it's very difficult for the girls to travel in a public transport. They even feel scared while going to the local market, narrow streets of the neighborhood or near their school. And the roads to their school, local market, or even to the private classes, they face a lot of challenges. And these challenges are not only related to eve teasing or this thing, but it is related to the infrastructure. It is related to whether there is a footpath or not, whether even if it's raining, then the roads should not get flooded. There should be a parking places for when the girls or boys are going for their coaching classes, so they can park their vehicle properly and it is safe. So and that is detrimental for their overall well-being. Another thing which is very important, I wanted to bring it to notice here, is the URDPFI guidelines, which talk about that in urban areas we should have one Anganwadi for a cluster of 5,000 population. But I mean, as per the studies, only 7 out of 100 Anganwadi beneficiaries in the country are in urban areas. So how does this impact? Because Anganwadi provides nutrition, they provide early education services. So when it comes to the nutrition and health aspect, and you can see this data from NFHS4, 38% of India's urban poor children are stunted. 36% of them miss full immunization. So, I mean, and now I'm coming to another point which is important for the democratization and empowerment of adolescent is risk of isolation. We are in a lot of cities going, single neighborhood approach. But what the planners and architects and designers and municipalities is thinking, let's have a mixed land use approach because it has a lot of benefits in terms of natural surveillance, in terms of keeping eye on the street. So these things are very, very important. Another dimension to it is the disasters. We are facing floods, earthquakes, and climate change. And one of the most vulnerable who cannot cope with these type of extremities are children. So we need to really plan our cities considering these aspects. Another very important thing, as you have seen in my slides, I was sharing 2011 data or data, as old as 2008-9 for migrant children. So we do not have a city level age and gender segregated data. We can get data for 0 to 6, but for 7 to 14 and especially adolescent age group 15 to 18, nothing is available. The way we want to, if we really wanted to plan our cities. So cities provide them, if you see 74th Constitution Amendment, 18 activities, all of those activities are some or other way have a bearing on the life of adolescents and children. And they should be counted if we have to really provide them good urban services. Another thing is, which is came to notice is that, adult knows everything. We know what is important for our children, but now it is very, very important that we should shed that approach, and we should also understand and build the capacity of all the stakeholders to get the children's perspective. And there are various tools of getting those things, that how we can engage children in urban planning and governance. Another thing is the negligible participation of children. When I'm growing up in Delhi, I have heard about 1, 2, 3 different master plans in my younger age, but when it comes to stakeholder consultation, it was only been confined to few adult people, but it's not been reached to adolescents or the children. Now, I'll be talking a little bit on inclusive planning and governance. So we have fantastic, policies, frameworks, all guidelines is there. We do have, signatory to UNCRC and so on and so forth. I would like to, because the topic is on inclusion of children in urban governance, it is very important what are child-friendly cities. So it is very beautifully captured in UNICEF definition. A child-friendly city is a city or any local system of governance that is committed to fulfilling children's right. I have highlighted the 4 points which are very, very critical for this discussion is right to influence decisions about the city, express their opinion, participation, and be an equal citizen of their city. So it is very, very important that if we are planning or designing our city, we should take into account the views of children, because they are not only using that built environment, they are not only commuting on the roads, streets, going to parks and playgrounds, but they are also understanding what are the challenges when they are using these places. So it will be a really good, because for example, when odd and even thing has happened in Delhi because of the air pollution. So one 7th class boy from Noida has come out with the odd even app. So it's their inquisitive mind. If they have been asked, they have been trained, or they have been included, then they can give a very good solutions to the problem. Another thing is, if I remember, when I was in college, there was a competition organized by Delhi Traffic Police on traffic light, red light. So if you see on the red light, there is on the red light, it is written wait. So how it has come? It has come from one of the painting competition organized by Delhi Traffic Police. So there are many such examples where children can give a lot of good solutions. So, and I'm coming to my last slide, which is how to go about it, how to include children in planning and governance. Jan Gehl, one of the important Danish architect, mentioned that if you count, you care. So very important thing that this census 2021, if it's already out, but if there may be some other surveys where we can take into account 0 to 6 age appropriate, gender segregated data, which will be very useful for the urban local governance. Second, very important point is to include the most marginalized and deprived children who are in street situation, who are special children, because in COVID-19 situation, everyone is talking about the children who are deprived, but very less we are hearing about the children who are special, autistic, ADHD, dyslexia, or some sort of or locomotive issues or visually impaired. So these are very, very important. Another dimension too is the child care institutions. Because if you do not have data, how can a city planners will decide how many homes or shelter homes we require? I mean, and then it is very important to have those data. Otherwise, there are a lot of unregistered homes running in the country and in the cities. And if you look at the homeless, CCI's data, lot of these 80% of them are within the like 10 or 20, 10 kilometers or 20-kilometer distance from the district headquarters. So it is basically coming into the urban zone. Another thing is we need to start inculcating in our curriculum about the basics of urban planning, sensitizing, including the children, that you map your neighborhood, you map the activities, you map the whether the red light or traffic light in your near your school is working or not, whether that speed breaker is rightly placed or not, or they face any sort of a inconvenience. Another thing is to that a lot of our planning institutes should take up the project where it is with the children we can design some of the intervention at the neighborhood level. And another thing which is very important, that all the city action plans, whether it is CMP or CDPs or city standardization plan, it should have at least some, because we have different size class of settlements. So we need to really contextualize and see in which cities, what are the challenges of the children, and which areas where children have larger numbers, and we should definitely take into their opinion. Another thing is we have a grievance redressal mechanism at lot many municipalities through social media and other different systems. But where are the children complaints going? I mean, whether they are at school level, whether they are at parks or playground, whether they have any issues with the equipment. So what is the procedure? I mean, that is something which we have to think about it. Another thing which is very, very important for with respect to this pandemic and lot of disasters which are happening, floods and earthquakes and fires, where are children? Where is the data? How many children have suffered? How many children has affected with floods? How many children have electrocuted due to cyclone Amphan or cyclone Yas or all those things? So these are very, very important points which we need to really take into account while designing, planning our cities, and also including them in their budgeting exercise also. Because in Boston, the mayor in 2014 took an initiative of inviting children as young as 12 years to youth 21 years old to give him suggestion that what they want to have, the child-friendly spaces in Boston city. And then they have beautifully using various, social media, Twitters, online, offline discussions. They came out with a lot of interventions. And then the mayor discussed with youth and children that, look, this is the budget with me, and I can do these many things. So I think we should try these things out with our children and make them part and parcel, because tomorrow, as Tikender ji rightly mentioned, it's the future habitat. So in that future habitat, this is the future. This is the younger generation whom we really wanted to give them opportunity to be a future architect, planners, geographers, urbanists, and so on and so forth. So here I end my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Manish A Thakre. Yeah, that was lovely, wonderful, actually coming out from uh, not just sheer data, but also from sheer experience, and especially the anecdotes that you shared and the experiences were extremely beneficial, I think, for the discussion. And I think just to substantiate what you said, in fact, when I was the deputy mayor of Shimla, so by default, the deputy mayor happens to be the ex officio chairperson of the Social Justice Committee. And earlier it was kind of quite defunct, but then we really persuaded people to come with their grievances, all sorts of, right from family to social. And I remember dealing with one of the in one of the cases where the dispute related to a dispute between a husband and wife, which were, I mean, who were 70 years and 72 years old. So, all sorts of, but children never came, children never turned up because, and I think you have rightly pointed out, I mean, there's no hiding of the fact that, I mean, we do not even consider them. I mean, we think, okay, their parents are going to take care of them, and not to actually realize that actually there's a whole bunch of these children who require different spatial arrangement, in the sense that, in the context of urban planning. So yeah, thank you so much for making that presentation. But let me also apprise you, I'm not sure whether you have watched some of our previous shows. Actually, what you have been saying and what our previous speakers, especially Romy Khosla, has been pointing out for the future urban habitat are actually quite similar. you know so where both of you come to the conclusion that actually in the and I think this is something very interesting that I'm hearing from you. The basics of urban planning has to be decentralized, and the children have to be engaged or developed in that process. I mean, it should be part of the curriculum. I think that's something very interesting that you're pointing out, and it's not difficult. I mean, especially our large planners who've been saying, look, I mean, you don't have to plan. We know, I mean, the children can plan better than many of our big planners, because, they will plan there. They won't go to the bankers and to the large giants to ensure that their interests are protected and saved. We know how a city runs. So, yeah, but I think this boils to the point, and I think I would like you to comment on that. Actually, this is what, I mean, again, go back to what Romy is pointing out, and actually, this is really striking me since long. How about the local bodies, the elected institutions, and that planning process not to be restricted to the parastatals like the development authorities, but actually deep down handing it over. And I mean, how can that be integrated, and what role can children play in that process of planning? So I think that is uh, what I would like you to comment on. And Arjun, as usual, I think you can take over from here, because this is quite a fascinating presentation. And but at the same time, I think many of our speakers are coming to one single point, and that is actually democratize and decentralize. I mean, engage the people, and when we say people, different sets of people. Arjun, are you there?
So should I answer your question first? Or?
As you wish, Arjun.
Okay, so I mean, you raised a very important point, like I mean, how to go about making the urban planning works with the involvement of elected representative. What is the role of mayor and what is the role of the ward councillors? So the one of the lowest unit in cities is the neighborhood and then the ward. So in one of our project, urban resilience, we call it urban resilience project in Patna and Kolkata. What we have done is that we have informally organizing meetings of uh, children, their mothers, with local ward councillors and municipal officials. So how did it happen? Because that a lot of informal settlements have a lot of problems, from drinking water to sanitation to solid waste management and so many things. So in one of the intervention area, we have water issue, and and how to go about it, how to raise it. So we we have a, you know, a concept of child parliament where we train children to be, you know, a finance minister, urban minister, and so on and so forth. And we, you know, tell them about the UNCRC, what are their rights, and so on and so forth. So they discuss that in their locality, these are the problems. So then how to go about it? Who should we reproach? Who should we raise our grievances? So in that, then one good day we organized a informal ward sabha where ward councillor was present, local municipal officials were present, and these children, you know, who are our child champions, they raised these issues and they took note of those problems. And within 1 week, the water supply was being installed. So I mean, there are, you know, positive things which has been really happening. And there is another thing, like how children help you in COVID-19. So when you see that there is a complete lockdown, and we were working with these children for past 2.5 years, and we told them about wash practices. We told them about that how to do you know, risk mitigation, or how to identify families which are in problem and who need food, and so on and so forth. So when we were mounting our humanitarian response, so these children are eyes on the ground. They told us that these are the families, they do not have food at their home, they do not have even mask, and they do not have even soap to wash their hand, when forget about, you know, having sanitizers. So these are the things, and that is the beauty or the power of the children, if we really you know, train them and engage them in our day-to-day local planning and governance. So that is how it is. And I know there are elected representatives, ward councillors, who are really interested in taking and engaging with children, and they really see that a lot of things can be done, and in a cost-effective way, which I call it like kamme bum. You know,
Yeah, so
it's
I can share one anecdote with you, because when you just were mentioning about the power of the children, so you know, it happened in Shimla, and you know, Shimla, summer comes summers, and we always have this water problem, and we decided that I mean, one of the interventions, well, of course, it was very piecemeal, but it did work. That if the water tank overflows, then there was a huge fine. We were charging almost 1,000 rupees if the water tank flows. So people must ensure that you know, they have those walls, so that I mean, the valves, so to ensure that the water doesn't flow. And guess who were our actually crusaders? The children. So we visited each and every school in the town, and we told them, we gave our numbers, our counselors, and of course the mayor and myself, and our commissioners, all our officers. And you will not believe, Manish, that our phones were ringing just like anything. Uncle, this phone, this neighborhood, I mean, we find, and we were chalani. And it actually helped us a lot without any, creating extra infrastructure. You were really able to, because, you know, certain colonies were getting more water, and some of the government officials, I mean, we really plugged those connections, and then they had to pay money to really, to again get it functional. So yeah, children have great power, and we've seen that. Yeah, Arjun, over to you. Are you?
Right, right. I'm here. Yes. So there's no questions per se, but I really, since because the topic we are discussing, I really wanted to know and understand for all of us that, so what are the mediums in your experiences to have children in our planning processes at the local level? Because many of the anecdotes and practices you shared, if you can shed some more light on what are the mediums, is it via school or in your RWAs, or what are the activities which enhances these processes?
Yes, Dr. Arjun, very important point, because we really need to have certain tools by which where we are engaging children. So as you rightly mentioned, that school is one of the areas where children are not only learning, but if they have been given practical exercises, as I was mentioning, that there should be some course curriculum added to urban planning exercise, so that they can map and share those findings with the local ward counselor or ward level engineers that these are the problems. Because if you see, a lot of schools do not have, I mean, like footpath as soon surrounding them, or if they do not have traffic calming measures or even traffic lights. So these are the things by which, you know, children can be involved. Second thing, at the their household level, what are the problems and how and with whom they are communicating. Like I mentioned that we have formed children's group, and those groups are then being raising their concerns to the meetings which are happening at the neighborhood and the ward level. Another thing is something which is like now, you know, through the social media, a lot of municipalities are getting grievances, so we can really filter it out which are really concerning to the children. Now this is something from the demand, from the supply side, you know. So are they really looking into that micro lens, that this is the situation which is causing problem to children in their daily life continuity? So, for example, if there is no water, or there is no, transportation running, so how can I reach to school, or how can I attend to my classes if the electricity is not there? So, you know, those are the things are very, very important. Another thing is that I will also talk a little bit on some of the interventions like nurturing neighborhood challenge, though, which is for younger children who are more than 5 years of age. So those children, for them, the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, they have created a toolkit, infant, toddlers, caregiver in neighborhood, ITCN toolkit. So there are toolkits which are there, which needs to be shared. And another thing with our organization in Save the Children, we have developed urban situation analysis guide and toolkit. So how this toolkit actually help in identifying the more vulnerable population, and also reaching out to the children in a more participatory way, with the ways of some games, and understanding from them what are the challenges, and through qualitative discussions, through transit walks, and so on and so forth. So that will really give insight to that how we can bring the perspective of children from the neighborhood to the municipality level.
Right. So just follow, question. And since your organization yourself has been dealing it pan India, there are also regional differences in India. There is also, city size classes. When it comes to scale, because we see best practices, minor practices at many places, what are the impediments to scaling these processes, if you can shed some light on it? And sir, also if you can also touch upon that, what has been also the work of NIUL, also integrating children in smart cities. Our teacher, Dr. Devulna Kundu ma'am, is also working a lot from quite few years. If you can also, that what is the process for transformation in this area, as also the research and practices going?
This is a very important point, like how to institutionalize certain things, because one of the very important things is that I mentioned in my presentation, one important point is that the municipalities should have data on on different age and gender group, because that will help us understand which is the age group is predominantly in which geography or which neighborhood, and what type of their requirements are. And if they are living in informal settlements, then that also need to be considered specifically. And then second thing is that municipalities has certain budget limitations. This is very important, because not all municipalities are like Pune or Surat, but there are municipalities who are having challenges. So we need to really prioritize that in this year or this annual plan, which are the things we will be taking up when it comes to addressing the important problems of the children. So, and then allocating budget for it, that is very, very important, because unless because we have the entire planning exercise, we have a stakeholder consultation, children have given their inputs, everything has gone into the the preparation of the plan, but when it comes to budgeting, it has not been allocated. So that's something need to be make sure that out of at least some of those interventions which are very important for children, at least some of them has to be implemented on the ground. And another thing which you talked about, NIUA has started Child Friendly Cities initiative. They are also documenting and monitoring a lot of interventions, like I just mentioned about ITCN. They are also recently, they have launched, last year, sorry, in 2020, about the challenges of children and adolescents, and which is being, I think, authored by NIUA faculty. So, lot of, because evidence is very, very important, and research institution, think tank, academia, we need to really focus on what is the data coming out. And of course, there are now various avenues of getting the data from the ground is through various digital technologies. So we should start using them. Now, integrated command and control center, those they are really useful. It is coming out very well, and some of the municipalities or smart cities have used it carefully while responding to the COVID-19. So as we advance in next 5 to 10 years, so we will also learn and do things through this digital mode in benefiting children and other age groups also.
Right. Sir, just taking a cue from there. So what has been also your experiences especially for this purpose, from older, or I would say from the middle age or the old age, what has been the reaction, and who also is supporting, and where are the bottlenecks among family, or I'll just say among individuals, those who are old, are they supporting this kind of exercise, or more of younger people? How do you see?
It is a mix, actually, because everyone want that there should be, equal opportunity. But when it actually come to the exercises, then usually the adolescents and children voices are not there, even if you can't find them there, actually. So it is very important that the adults actually give them space to be part of these exercises. And it is happening. It's not something that I'm saying it's not happening, but we need to do more in this respect. For example, Delhi master plan is happening, and this time they have through Twitter and social media, they are reaching out to the youth and adolescents to share their perspective on the master planning. So this is something which is a good start. And we need to socialize all these planning processes. We need to really engage children. We need to really engage citizens. It should not be like a exercise done in by a few technocrats and engineers because they have the know-how. But it is important that it needs to be understood in a very simple language by the local population also, for it is meant. That is how it is.
Right. Tikender, sir, would you like to come in? So please,
the Q&A.
There are many questions. I
suggest you please, give them the opportunity to.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yes. So let me read out some of the questions together. Yes, Shinu Jindalji is asking that, sir, what role RWS can play in ensuring child welfare? I live near a slum and regularly see 2-3 years children begging, roaming around aimlessly. They are also resident of our locality. Only thing is that they live in backward suburbs, and this leads to their negligence in health education, access to basic amenities. How can RWA help in this? Yes, they have access to government hospital, etc. But they also take fees, but we are not able to see any development. As sir, you were highlighting that there are many marginalized children and also health issues. And again, she's asking that what RWA is the closest and smaller unit. RWA lack funds and others. There are also slum associations are also there. Informal structures also have now come up with various associations. There are markets association for developing and such kind. Again, the data related that can human development index can be made for local level. One anonymous attendee has also asked that how can local governance and planning play a role in according greater independence and self-reliance to adolescents? especially in India, where household and communities can be overprotective and limiting. How can adolescents look to local governance to give them greater opportunity to learn and grow on their own with no barriers? Something on security part taken that Sir was also highlighting, very important. And this question is really very, I would say, bold and sharp because it's dealing with adolescents also. So few questions have also are there on chat box. Josh Chathukulam ji is asking that he's from Kerala, or she, sorry, data gap on the status of children is a serious issue in city planning. Yes, I agree with you, but participatory planning exercises, we can generate any amount of data what you need for planning. At the Gram Panchayat level, we tried to form Makalu Gram Sabha. Can you think of similar types of institutional arrangement, such as special ward committee for children? Again, ward level institution. One more question is there that mode of election of the mayor in the city corporation has something to do with the quality of planning, question mark. If your mayor is directly elected, then he, she may be more powerful even in planning. So these are some set of questions. I'll check on Facebook and come back. So you can choose to take any of them.
Yeah. So I'll talk on adolescent, because this is a very important, because adolescents, whether it's boys and girls, they are not being given chance and opportunity to be part of, because a lot of attention is going to 0 to 6 and 7 to 14 age group. But when it comes to especially the 15 to 18 age group, they have a lot of challenges. For example, the girls from informal settlements, they have sexual and reproductive health rights, and then menstrual hygiene. So those are the things where it is very important that there should be a platform where they can discuss it with the local authorities. It can be both health department, education department, and urban local bodies. So it's very important that when that is what the data is important, that how many such children are there, how many adolescents are there, how many of them are in slum and non-slum households, what are their challenges, and accordingly we need to really plan them. Because if you see solid waste management, and we know that there are issues with disposal of a lot of things, in fact the mask and the sanitary pads and so on and so forth. So even if you make them aware about all these things, but if the municipality is not taking care of it, then that is a challenge, because every day a lot of waste is being generated. So it's important that we should get data from the ground, and that will help in really planning at the local level, in neighborhood level and the ward level. Another point which is very important to data, and I agree, because without data you cannot do the planning. And I agree that there are certain initiatives, but we need to really scale up those initiatives. There are Kudum Shri happening in Kerala. There are certain Balaknama newspaper in Bangalore, which is being run by children in street situations and so on and so forth. So those things, good practices has to really come out at the national level, and then we try to scale up with the support of the municipalities and the and of course there should be a leadership. And I agree with you that mayors have because that's a 74th constitutional amendment has to do another amendment that mayors has to be given more power, and they should work like a mayor of London or New York, so that they can integrate everything. Because for example, I tell you, like childcare institutions, so any mayor can say this is not our work, it's not under the ULBs. But when it comes to water supply, electricity, all the provisioning, it is the responsibility of PWD or urban local bodies. But when it comes to, and again, it comes to giving the land also for shelter home, it again comes into the development authority. So, it is very important that, we need to really first concern on the children who are our future. We need to really get good understanding of their situation on the ground. And of course, those voices has to be heard at the policy parlance. And other things are, slowly and steadily happening. So I am optimistic that that things will be more better for the children, because we are in a time where things are changing very dramatically in terms of climate change, in terms of environmental degradation. So more we are proactive, more we are in the understanding of the current dynamics. from the children's lens, more the better the future for them. Yeah, thank you.
Great, great, sir. Okay, Tikender sir, are you there? Great.
I'm very much there, Arjun.
Yes,
I
yes.
think, I think we've had a wonderful time. But then, if there's anything else you want to add,
No, sir, I think enough questions. Sir has been also
yeah,
speaking for an hour.
yeah. Thank
Yes.
you, Manish. Yeah, in fact, we've exhausted your time also.
Yes. So, sir, would you
Yeah,
like to wrap on the topic today?
well, let Manish pass the final comments. I mean, how does he really? Because what we have been viewing at Manish is that hashtag local governance. We want to bring focus back to the whole bunch of questions that have actually been left in this uh, pace of urban development and urban governance, and especially that's what I raised, democratic and decentralized urban governance has been one of our biggest failures, because as you pointed out, I mean, it's not just the mayor, I think it's the institution of the mayor, the elected institution, which must get that, it should be the repository of this. So we're trying to just build those arguments, engagements, so that and it's not just for the elected people; it's for the people by and large. I mean, they have to actually reclaim their spaces. So urban dialogues is kind of a space that we try to vent all those issues, so that we are able to build larger networks for this. And I think you have fantastically brought the whole issue of the children. I mean, why it is so very important to bring children into the ambit of urban planning, and how they can be very pivotal, in fact, in shaping the processes of urban planning. So thank you so much. I think you want to add something, and then probably Arjun have the last word.
I wanted to thanks IMPRI and to you for having this topic for discussion, because we are it's being saying that demographic dividend and so on and so forth. So it is a very apt time where the children who are currently in past 14 months at home. So, and some of them are, and most of them in informal settlements do not have any clue about their learning continuity. So it is a very important thing that how urban local bodies, how local governance keep themselves resilient, that tomorrow in 2030, if similar type of situation happens, then that the children will have to face the same situation which they are facing today, or we will be more geared up, more having a digital infrastructure, and all things have been sorted out in 2030. Okay, no worries, any virus come, our children are safe. Second thing, very important, that their voice matters. And fourth thing, if it is we are budgeting, we need to be really do already it's there, child budgeting exercises, gender budgeting we are doing. So those are the lenses we have to bring in. And fourth is that curriculum and the research work, which actually put into the policy parlance, where child-friendly inclusion and governance is important. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, and really highlighting all the data and other parts also. So let me also just introduce. We also have our Generation Alpha Data Center, and that's really meant for all these purposes only, wherever the data gap is there. And we at IMPRI focusing, and me being economist, focus a lot is there also in data. So we would be really very much honored and privileged if we can also help in any of these data related issues. Manish, also my senior from JNU. So really, sir has highlighted so many of points, and especially in the planning and practice purpose from the practitioner's point of view, really highlighting that the marginalized children and especially girls have been the most affected during this pandemic, and a lot has been lost. So now I would quickly like to propose a vote of thanks for all of you joining here and joining here at Zoom and Facebook Live, and those who will watch it at YouTube and listen on our podcast later. Thank you very much for joining this evening on our special talk series, hashtag local governance with Shri Tikender Singh Panwar sir. And the series is being organized by IMPRI Center for Habitat, Urban and Regional Studies. And today's deliberation, a special talk on inclusion of children and adolescents in city planning and governance by Shri Manish Thakre sir. Thank you very much, Manish sir, for putting forth in very short notice all this presentation and being prepared and enlightening us. Thank you so much, and we wish you and your organization all the best. And thank you, Tikender sir, also for steering this series. And have a nice evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arjun.
We look forward to having all of you again on next episode of Local Governance. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I will share the video soon.